Well, 2020 is coming to a close. This is your final Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast of 2020. It is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up, download their top-rated app, use promo code RTRS, and brought to you by By Nature Pet Foods, slow cooked with Superfusion, the owners of the Soft Shit Award, official pet food of the Ricky. Get 20% off your first By Nature order at Chewy by using promo code RTRS20. And of course, the sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter, Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. Get yours at statesidevodka.com. Well, we're wrapping up 2020 with a win. Oh, wait. Do they play again this year, actually?
Yeah.
Oh, they do. Well, as far as we're concerned, as far as the pod is concerned, it's the last game of 2020.
That's fine.
So we wrap it up with a win, talk about the Sixers-Toronto game. We will give the winners of this year's Ricky Best of 2020 poll, discuss some of AU's best Sixers moments of 2020, best 76 Sixers moments. And in the mailbag, we have the most perplexing, thought-provoking question I've ever received from a listener. Been talking about it with people at work for 3 days. Mike, I can't wait to pose it to you. I hope you think as deeply about it as I do. Before we get going, I would like to thank all of our sponsors for sticking with us in 2020. I want to thank everyone who's been with us: LL, Big Barker, Kinetic, Cornblow, By Nature, of course, our presenting sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Adam Kasabi, the Process Realtor. Who else am I forgetting anybody? I hope I'm not. Mike, am I forgetting anybody?
Are we just current sponsors?
Yeah, well, I mean, we want to thank Touchstone. Touchstone Electric Fireplace is no longer with us, but we love them. Big Barker, we fucking love Big Barker. Colony Meadery, we haven't, worked with them in a little bit, but we love them. We'll love them forever. Thank you to all of our sponsors, honestly, for sticking with us this year. It was a fucked up year, but it's good to have people who support us and allow us to do the pod and allow us to do good things. Weird things and good things. So thank you to every sponsor we have. And subscribe to the YouTube. Thanks to CJ, our new video guy. Subscribe to the YouTube. Subscribe. YouTube.com. Smash the subscribe button.
In case you didn't know what the website for YouTube was, it's youtube.com.
Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef. I hope I didn't forget any sponsors. Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin with a guy who has spent his entire life in the dunker spot. That is Mike Levin.
The other day, I said I couldn't remember the last satisfying Sixers win. And this wasn't satisfying in the sense that it was pleasant. But It is a game that they've never won. They've never won this game. Against, they would win this game against, Charlotte or Sacramento maybe. But this is not a game that the Sixers win against a good team, let alone the Toronto Raptors, who they have not beaten. They're 4-24 prior to tonight against their last Raptors game. And so it was dark in there for a second. During the game, to be totally honest, cards on the table, during the game, thought, how long am I going to fucking do this thing for? how long can I was thinking, I was like, I wrote it, I might need an end date to the podcast.
So
as far as like, if we're on the path that we're on of like, you know, failure consistently in depressing ways, I might need to know like, hey, if they don't at least like go to the title by this year,
we got to stop.
Then we're done.
So we got a lot of, for the Ricky Best of 2020 poll, there were some open boxes where people, you know, for best argument, best take, all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't an argument or a take, but one guy wrote in there about 2 weeks before Morey got hired, I was listening to the podcast and you guys were so checked out and depressed that I'm convinced that if Morey didn't get hired, the podcast wouldn't exist right now.
That was more for you. I have a low grade level of checked out, I think, kind of always. But I mean, I'm especially checked out now as far as like life goes. Like I have a mustache right now. My hair, I haven't cut my hair all year. We're in, because why not? Like while we're watching the game, until somehow they won, and we obviously will talk about what, you know, wizardry went into them winning this game somehow. But I was just like, I don't know. This year and everything, and this team still looking like the team and just doing the same exact things, I was just like, I don't know if we could keep doing it. And then they won, and I watched that video of the two girls, one playing piano, one playing violin, playing Here Come the Sixers. I teared up. Now I'm doing the podcast until I die. I don't know what I don't know what's going on, but we're really on a knife's edge as far as hanging on to just a tether to stability right now.
Since they became a team that wins more games than they lose, you certainly ride higher and lower on the wins and the losses than I think I do. Like I think I've always felt that you are always one loss away from quitting the podcast. That's what I've always thought.
That's the book on me. If there was a scouting report,
yeah.
Here's some good things, but negatives always one loss away from giving it all up. Yeah. just calling it a day.
So here are the two takeaways I come away from the game. First of all, just an incredible start to the season for Embiid. Just really fucking good, and
he's in easily the best shape that he's been in, I would say, either since his rookie year or ever. Easily.
And I think people get a little confused sometimes because he doesn't physically, his body does not look that much different.
No.
But you can just tell the way he moves is faster and lighter on his feet. You can just tell.
By a lot.
That's and he looks great, and he looks in control and calm, but also playing hard, and it feels good to watch him play like that because we know what he's capable of. And last year was such a bad year for him. Not, you look at the stats and the stats look fine, but if you watch the games, you could just see that he just wasn't there. So it's great to see him as dominant as he was. And the other thing I took away is Tobias Harris just taking his finger, putting it right in your chest and saying, tell that fucking kid to give me my $10 million back. Is Tobias earning his $10 million
I do like that Tobias is coming to me to tell Shake to give him money back. That's the easiest route to get there.
The only reason Shake got the money was because of you, not because of Shake. There's no way Shake's demanding the money.
They should have televised it, but I am glad that Shake has it. Now he will have to give some of it back. Embiid, to do this against the Raptors, who have always sort of stymied Embiid, to do against Aaron Baines, who I've had nightmares about for years. That Baines three going in was a lock. There was not a chance. I didn't even look at it. I saw it. I said, I honestly didn't even see it. I saw Aaron Baines has the ball, shot clock winding down. And I rolled my body. That's how much I rolled my eyes because I knew it was going in. And then of course it did, but they called it back, which was the shocker of the century. And then he missed that corner three. Unbelievable that happened. Once that was called back, it was like, okay, something's going on. There's something weird afoot because this is we have a good handle on when games are going to be won or lost. and what shots are going to go in and what's because you just watch this team enough. You've watched the rims at Wells Fargo Center enough to know like when a clang is coming and when like an inexplicable like hoist is going in for them. And so once that changed, it was like we're in uncharted waters. I don't know what's going on. And yeah, Embiid was unbelievable. Just incredible.
A different level than anybody else on the court on either team.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yes, by a lot. Yes. I mean, the Kyle Lowry's very good. He's always very good against us. They're a different team without him. Fred VanVleet is just like not good against the Sixers, which is weird because you really most of the time remember how many guys inexplicably destroy the Sixers, but Fred VanVleet is sort of the opposite in that he, once he had that kid 2 years ago, he went on a run against everybody else on the way to the finals, but against the Sixers he was pretty terrible.
He hit 1-3 in the Sixers series.
He was bad, and I think he just like. I love Fred VanVleet. I love undrafted guys. Was a hell of a college player, but he is not as good as Kyle Lowry, and it's kind of not close. The stuff
can I
that
say
Kyle
this
Lowry,
about Kyle Lowry too? The fact that he seemed like he was about to be washed 3 years ago. Like the fact it's almost like the championship revived his entire like being almost.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked he's still as good now.
He's very good. Yeah, I remember talking about him. Like hey, would you trade for Kyle? This was like the year before the championship. Would you trade for Kyle Lowry with like 3 years left on his deal? Like I think it was like 3 years, $90 million left. And I think it was kind of like I don't know, that's a lot of money, but it's like he's still very good, and he's still clearly he finished plus 12 in a game they lost by whatever 6 or 8 or whatever. It was a good Tobias game. Like I'm going to try not to be negative on this podcast because there's negative things I want to say about like Tobias and Ben specifically around the rim, but like I'm going to say that every single podcast for the rest of time. And so because of this gift that we were given to us of winning this game that they've never won, we're just going to be positive. We're going to feel good. We're going to live in this moment. I almost quit the podcast tonight, so let's just be happy for a second and a half. But yeah, I thought that he certainly was making quicker decisions. He's never going to be a great passer, but certainly making quicker decisions with the ball. Going up with threes, 2 for 5 from deep. I would love to double that, but that's fine. Had a nice touch around the rim. He always has that nice little kind of like high off the glass with his left that sort of goes in automatically, even against pretty good shot blockers. And his defense was great. I mean, he is at least league average on defense, probably better because of just his size. Got his hands in there, making decisions. My favorite Tobias play, and it's good because like this, like
my favorite Tobias.
Shut up. We talked about what was wrong with him in the first couple games, whether or not it was floated by someone that his brain was altered in some medical sense
by someone.
But there was a play they kept doubling Joe. They kept doubling Joe from different ways, and he like wasn't doing a great job with it. He was either he was waiting too long, didn't see like the little short guards coming around and got trapped, or was making bad passes out of it because he was rushing it or whatever it was. And so after one play, Tobias goes up to Joel, and you can see it on camera. He goes up to him and like tells him, he taps him on the chest and tells him something, and Joe's like, all right, cool. And this is like an example of like good Tobias leader stuff that isn't just like, a reading list that he's sending out to the team to educate themselves on various topics, which is also important, but less important than on the court. And so Joe goes, okay. And then the next play down, I think it was either Seth or Danny, brings the ball up on the left side of the court. Tobias goes to that elbow as Joel is posting up. Tobias goes to that elbow, gets the ball from either, I think it was Seth, and then makes an immediate inlet to Joel over the top of the defender to get an easy layup and one. And that was a Tobias thing, seeing that they kept doubling him, helping him out by getting an easier pass. And it's just like that, those kinds of things where like smart decision making, communicating with the team, getting easy buckets, like that is nice. It's nice to see. It's nice to see that Joel was like receptive to that, and then they executed it correctly. Like it was very good.
I actually think it's sort of nice that we don't have a home crowd this year, in that Tobias would have been fucking slaughtered coming back for this game. honestly. Like, the crowd would be on him like nobody's business. So I'm actually glad they're not there, and he's able to get out of whatever that funk was. He will never be worth $36 million a year. He'll never be worth that trade, but he certainly can be a good player.
Yeah.
At least, So I don't expect 26 points from him every game, but I certainly don't expect him to be what he was the first couple of games of the year.
I would love one Tobias 3 where he shoots it from a foot behind the line. Just give me one intentional. I'm just gonna take this space and shoot it from here, because every single time it's tippy toes on the line.
I know, but it's funny. I think it was 2 games ago where he started being a little quicker. Maybe it was the New York game.
Yeah.
But you could see when he was being quicker, when he misses, he front rims a lot, right? Because you've mentioned the shot is pretty flat and barely gets there. Is that it barely gets there from the line. Like I don't know if he can shoot from a foot beyond that.
It's not. I mean, it's not. It's not like a strength thing. He's obviously strong enough to do it. Marcus,
but it's how his shot works.
Right, exactly. It's all like he's got such a firm elbow that it's a really line drive situation. But it lands on the rim softly, which is why he's a good foul shooter, because he hits that. And it's a mid range jump shot that he tries to stretch out to 3, and it's not an easy fluid release. But yeah, I would just love to see it, because so often. And I would love to see it from Danny and Seth too, although they're more willing to do it. Like, when you can shoot from 26, 27, like, that's more space. Like, everything is tighter when you're just hugging the line. And that's why with Brett coaching and when Dario and Covington were here, it was like that. They were talking about that 4-point line where Dario and Cov were that far out, and then their pass would come and they'd step into it clean so they could be closer. But it was still like, I'm spacing out to this place.
I forget who wrote it. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago.
I think it was Rich.
No. A different thing. There was an article about the Rockets and the value of shooting from far away, because Eric Gordon shoots from like 28 feet, and that they all shot from far away, and you could see the Rockets had a ton of space, but the further you shoot out, the better it is. The further you draw your defender out there.
Yeah, would be nice. The offense still didn't, not to be negative, but it's so different. Like, Toronto is switching everything, contesting everything, scrambling everything, and so the Sixers were having such a hard time to like just get open looks and like easy looks, and it seemed like there was a couple drives where it was just, here's 45 different pump fakes, driving into kind of nothing and kicking back out for another sequence of pump fakes. And like shot clock violations and stuff, and it's just like, I would love to just like get things moving, and maybe that's a timing thing that everyone will get better at, because sometimes like there's been like once or twice a game there will be like god level ball movement, and you're like, this is great, this is the Spurs, this is such a nice thing. Everybody's looking and passing and moving, and there's like a fluidity to it. And then sometimes it'll be like, I'm staring at this inlet to the post like 20 feet out for like a good 8 seconds, and then it has to be like a hoisted shot clock expiring shot.
Well, but that movement has to start from an initial thing. It has to start from an initial like action that creates an advantage for the offense that the defense has to try to make up for with another player or movement or something like that. And that's why Brett's teams always led the league in passes, because they had to do that so much. And I will keep this to a minute, because I know you've made this no negative, whatever.
No negative.
Okay, I'm going to phrase it as something good. Joel Embiid is so good that we cannot afford another year of spinning our wheels. We can't. They're not young anymore, especially him. I don't know how long his prime's going to be. He's in it right now. He's 27. Who knows how many more years he can play a full. We just cannot do it. And I can't wait for Ben Simmons to figure out what he is anymore. I can't. And I like one more game of him running into the lane and throwing up some goofy hook shot or throwing it back to Embiid at the 3-point line at the top, I can't do it anymore. I can't. He's either got to be a forward and let Shake Milton play point guard and shoot fucking threes, or he's got to figure out a way to get into the lane and get fouled, because this is not going to work. It's going to waste it. It is. I'm telling I'm telling everybody listening. It is going to make Embiid want to leave if this doesn't get fixed. I'm sure of it. And I don't want to lose Embiid, and I don't want to miss his prime. And this guy is a good player. He is. But I just cannot figure out how it fits in the right way with Joel. Dude, they're running these ridiculous pick and rolls that are 5 feet away from the rim, like in any real basketball game you've ever seen that in a meaningful basketball game. It's fucking crazy, the shit that they have to do, and I can't take it anymore.
Well, so to me, we've seen the most Ben Simmons driving to the rim in the half court that we've seen in his career. He is beating guys off the dribble in the half court. He is getting to where he wants. It's just a matter of, like, once he gets to in the paint, there has to be a level of either decelerating so that you can, like, time your jump and get closer to the rim, or, like, just making the choice to get fouled. And there's a lot of times he got a lot of contact in this game, and he went to the line 8 times. Like, it could have been a lot more. But it's not like a choice to get the contact. That's guys flying in to him, and he's not being the one to initiate it. And it's like...
It's like he doesn't have a plan. He doesn't know exactly what he's
It's a lot of plan,
and
it's a lot of just, like, driving fast at it. Because he's the fastest guy on the court almost every time he plays. And he's huge. And it's just like, he's strong, he's athletic, just, like, play like it all the time. And it's like, I don't mind driving kicks. Like, I love a driving kick, especially with shooters. But too often it is... drive and fade, drive and like be a little confused, like trying like a little up and under thing, like fading away with Kyle Lowry on him. Like there's just too much of that stuff. And it's like when he played special defense on Siakam tonight. He's played special defense this whole season. Again, he has shut down like good players like every time. So Siakam was 8 for 23, didn't go to the line once. And it's like that there's like that's real. He's good. Like he's an incredible game-changing defensive player. He played, Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, R.J. Barrett. Who was last game? Last game sucked. Somebody else.
Yeah. Last game doesn't count.
It's not much. I honestly, I'm at the point where I never expect him to shoot. Although he did get the ball one time, and I did expect him to shoot it because it looked like he was going to. But it's like, okay, fine. I'm never expecting him to shoot. Fine, whatever. He's going to shoot above 60% from the line, and that's doable. That's fine. But it's just it's those little things where he's got to like just go at the rim, take one power dribble, go up with it, like those kinds of things. Because I do think that it's not just we need to get only shooting around Embiid, or we need to get like there's it's too many things now. It can't be all of the things, and right now he needs to be able to be like an effective player going at the rim. Because he can play with Shake. Seth Curry had a great game tonight. He hit that shot. No one's ever hit that shot before.
Yeah,
in clutch moments. And he's dribbling nicely. He's getting to his spots. A bunch of good things. So like he doesn't need to always have the ball in his hands. I don't think Ben Simmons needs to like figure out who he is. I think he knows who he is. I think this is the kind of odd, unique player he is with strengths and weaknesses. I just need him to have more of a choice on drives to the rim, around the rim, like. People say, like, okay, well, he shoots this percentage around at the rim. But it's like, well, a lot of times he's passing out of those things. A lot of times he's fading, so he's not at the rim anymore. And it's like in that little, like, 3 to 6 foot range. It's like that the stats don't tell the whole story. You need context for it. And so, yeah, I love the guy. There's so much I love about it. Watching him play, being on this team. I think Doc is using him in different ways than Brett didn't. And I think it's like... They might have won this game kind of just because of Doc. Like that might be what like an extra leg up of coaching gets you. But I need more. Like he's going to the rim more. That is good. But it needs to be like to the rim, one more power dribble, dunk. Like I don't know if you can teach deceleration or like show him like this is how like Tobias needs it also. Like I just need to We're so close. We're so close to like an excellent player of like a combination of skills and like one trade away, even if it's not the Harden trade, like one trade away of getting like this is the team that could do it. But it needs to be like those little things matter so much, and it's frustrating. But we're being positive.
Yeah, I just don't agree that it's a little thing, and I don't agree that the shooting thing is like, oh well, he just won't shoot. Like I'm not there, but I do agree that he could mitigate that by doing the things that you did. Anyway, a good win. I don't know that there's a ton of other individual performances that are worth discussing. Shake, not the best Shake game ever.
That really nice little scoop lefty around Boucher is a good shot blocker. That was a nice play.
The team really misses Furk, I think, honestly.
Crazy.
Yeah, and that's like we have other stuff. I don't think we need to overdo the game stuff, but it's a good win. I thought it was a good win.
Yeah, a couple more things to say. I think the bench standing the most of all of the game, basically. Mm-hmm. Got to chalk that up in the vibes category. Let's not rule out that the vibes carried them to a victory here.
Sure.
Last year the vibes were bad and they lost a lot of games in games where they just gave up or either coughed up the lead or just gave up when they were behind. So this is another game. I think one of them was a preseason game, but another game where they came back from a big deficit. Embiid got hurt, went to the locker room. They were down like 14 or something. Could have just all fallen apart there. That's the moment
too,
that
by the way. Like,
I thought it was a thigh. It looked to me like a thigh or a hamstring.
Well, if it was a hamstring, he wouldn't have come back.
Yeah, it could have just been a cramp. I'm not sure. He kind of bent weird when on one of those like double teams that he fell down on. He fell down a lot today. Enough falling down. Just one more. The Joel block on Baines at the rim, gorgeous, very impressive. I thought the Sixers defense around the rim was incredible. The Raptors took 45 threes. They hit 17 of them. And they lost this game because the Sixers did not let them get to the line. They only got to the line 14 times compared to the Sixers' 33. And they just missed a lot of shots around the rim, mostly because of Embiid altering shots.
How many free throws did Embiid shoot? 15?
16.
16.
Blocking shots. The Sixers as a team had 10 block shots. Like Tobias was getting in there. Danny Green blocked a couple. Dwight is good in those limited minutes. Like they just made everything hard for them around the rim. Now that led to a lot of wide open threes. That Siakam and Anunoby, who is easily one of my favorite players in the league, that they could just easily walk into, which is frustrating. If Stanley Johnson hits a three, then things are not going well for you. Right. But I think that's the trade-off that you make in NBA defense, where it's like you have to make a choice of what you're willing to give up. And
that's
the Raptors,
what Milwaukee does, by the way.
Yeah, well, the Raptors do it too. The Raptors usually limit shots at the rim and are fast enough and like communicative enough on defense to hard contest those threes. And the Sixers shot like shit from three for most of the game, went through many stretches without making anything. But I think that was a real like team effort around the rim, obviously centered around Joel Embiid being as good as he is. He's incredible. We can't even comprehend how good he is around the rim. It's unbelievable. And then just the Sixers didn't lose a game at home in 2020. What a weird year for that to have happened. But even just the threat of fans one day booing them for something.
Well, I mean, they saw what happened to the Phillies. They started hanging out outside the fucking stadium, So who knows? A good way to end the year, at least for us.
Do you know who they're playing in 2 days?
Wait. Oh, Charlotte, right?
No. Who would be the team that you would least want to face on a momentum into 2021?
The Magic?
The Magic is who the Sixers are playing on Thursday. We end the year with Markelle Fultz.
Oh boy,
it's going to be bad. But this win is going to. I'm going to try to let this win power me to a big feel good end of the year.
By the way, I think Fultz is shooting fucking 90% from the line or something this year.
That'll hold up.
Mike, we would like to thank our presenting sponsor for 2020, DraftKings Sportsbook.
Yes.
With us the whole way. Thank you, DraftKings.
I used Julius Randle against the Sixers in DraftKings the other day. because I guess not sportsbook, but
fantasy.
Because there's some things you just know. Some things you know.
Yeah, that with the live betting with DraftKings, I always feel like with the Sixers, I can take advantage of the live betting odds.
Right. It feels like insider trading a little bit.
Yes,
in some way.
I swear it absolutely feels like that. Like, oh wait, I watch them too much to bet on them. I know how this is going to go. Yeah. And I was actually happy to see at the end of the year, you can look in the DraftKings app. It's a great app. You can look and see how much you wagered and how much you won. In 2020, I came out on top. I actually won more money than I bet.
Now, are you? Does that include the sponsorship? Are you counting the money that they pay us?
No, I don't think so. Okay. I don't think they put it in there.
Including the sponsorship, me too.
Yeah.
I don't know how fair that is.
Thank you, DraftKings Sportsbook. Now that I love football, I'm not great at betting, but I do love betting on basketball, and because I feel like I know what I'm talking about, even if I don't. So, DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app. You're always in the center of the action. Always tons of ways for you to make it rain, and you don't have to be anywhere. You just need the app, right? It's a great app. Go to the App Store now, download it. DraftKings Sportsbook giving all new users a deposit bonus up to $1,000 when you sign up using promo code RTRS. As I mentioned, there's live betting in the games. There's player props. There's parlays. There's all that kind of stuff. Combined bets, whatever. Whatever you want to bet on, they're going to let you bet on. Football playoffs coming up that we're not going to be involved in, but you can be involved with DraftKings. Every day this week, daily odds boosts, so sign in and take a look at that. Safe, reliable, secure. Deposit money when you want, withdraw it when you want. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS when you sign up. Get up to $1,000. That's code RTRS to get a deposit bonus up to $1,000 for a limited time. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Bonus comprised of a first deposit bonus. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the pod. Well, I think he shot 80% last year, 75% or something. So he only gets to the line 3 or 4 times a game. But okay. So, before we get to the year-end poll, great news from our friends at Stateside. So Stateside Urban Craft Vodka is the sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter. Previously, it was only available in PA, Jersey, I think Delaware. As of right now, Mike, Stateside Vodka available in 44 states.
Name them.
You can no. I can maybe name the ones that it's not available in. Definitely not Hawaii. Definitely not Alaska. Mississippi, Alabama, Utah, and there's one more. But Stateside Vodka, you can order it from anywhere now. So, and here's the other thing they're doing. The first, wait, hold on. I got to get I forgot to write down the code. So the first 300 people that order out of state from one of their new states from their site gets one of those rocks glasses that we got. Really awesome glasses right here. If you're watching YouTube, great glasses. So if you order, add the product Stateside Rocks glass to your cart, enter promo code FREEROCKS, ROX, all one word, FREEROCKS at checkout. First 300 customers with any purchase of spirits gets that. So congratulations to Stateside. I know they've been working on this for a while, and it's great for anyone to be. I know we have Ricky listeners, New York, California, everywhere, so you can order Stateside. Remember, it is carb free. It is certified kosher. It is the best vodka you can get. So statesidevodka.com, and must be 21 to drink. Please enjoy responsibly. So we did our year-end poll, Mike, and I have the results. I would love to hear your reactions and maybe some reflecting on the moments of this year.
Let's do it.
Basketball guest of the year. By a sliver. Now, we did ranked choice voting. A sliver, the winner of Basketball Guest of the Year, won Daryl Morey.
Wow.
Over Joel Embiid. Now, Embiid did get more first-place votes, but in ranked choice voting, that's not who wins. So
interesting.
Always. So Daryl Morey wins. Did you, when we had him on, in retrospect, it looks like, oh, that was a sign. Did you think when it happened, did it cross your mind at all what could happen?
I think so. I think we talked about it probably.
Did we?
I think I don't know if I don't think I asked him about it, but because I didn't want to get him in trouble or something. But
right.
I certainly was thinking about being like, so you're coming, right? Like, because of this is a sign? I don't know.
I think I offered when they fired everybody to drive him here, and I think he politely declined, and then he took the job. But he also said I didn't have to drive him here.
Yeah,
so
probably if he was on the fence, I don't know if and you get a free ride from Spike was the thing that would have done the trick.
Right. Embiid comes in second, Zach Lowe third, and a virtual tie for fourth place, Kevin Arnovitz and Celtics assistant coach Jerome Allen. Non-basketball guest of the year, not really that close, presidential candidate Andrew Yang.
Yeah, I think that's like a nationally known thing. I think I enjoyed having Helen Gim on our podcast very much.
She was fun. Yeah.
Yang, I think I tried to joke with him a little bit, and I don't think he appreciated it. He's
really?
He's dry in a way, but I think I might have made fun of him where I was trying to do it in like a we're all joking around thing, but I think he took it personally a little bit.
Really? I'll have to go back
kind
and
of
listen.
do. I think I might have just been like, I don't remember. I think I made fun of some sort of political slogan or something, and I felt like a cool wave of iciness coming, and so then I was like, all right, whatever.
I think what you did, you gave like a, all that stuff is douchey, right? I don't
remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but I remember the icy feel, the sliver down my back, the trickle of sweat that I felt as he looked at me over Zoom.
He was good, though. I mean, he did love talking about basketball.
No, he's cool.
Yeah.
You can hang.
Coming in number 2, Amos and Mutlu. 2 appearances. 3, Chuck Klosterman. 4, our dads. And 5, Ike Reese.
Well, Klosterman making fun of Killicow, I think.
Was great.
Or what was it? Yeah, thinking that was his name.
Yeah. What, did he kill a cow?
That's solid, yeah. That's the literary genius of Chuck Klosterman, hitting you with the hard hits.
The podcast is not called Does Music Exist? The Mike was right player of the year is Shake Milton. Not surprising. Wins over Christian Wood. I think he got about 65% of the vote. The Did That Really Happen moment of the year, Morey on the pod from the bubble while he was Houston Rockets GM. This was really a Morey sort of...
sure. There's recency there for sure. But yeah, I mean, him being Hinky's dad, I think, puts him over the top. Was Morey before or after Joel?
He was, I think, before.
I think so, too.
Yeah. The way to wipe of the year, sitting with 72% of the vote.
Only answer.
Yep. Still a shocking. So I saw a different podcast also did a poll and also came across this. It feels like this sort of pops up in different places, this craziness. And they had about 65% saying sitting. It seems like the standing people are really about 30%, no matter who does the poll.
Reveal yourselves.
So the argument of the year between us was a sort of fill out the box, but I would say an easy 40% of the boxes had the winner of the argument of the year. Is Jimmy Butler, did he prove himself as best player on a championship team, even though he didn't win a championship, which devolved into horny for Michael Jordan versus LeBron? That was argument of the year. I remember that one. Many of the ones that people brought up I didn't remember. And the honorable mention, second place, I would say about, was the Are Simmons and Embiid actually superstars when I lost it on the Ringer heat check people.
Sure.
Yeah. The take that would come back to haunt Spike is Jimmy Butler in the finals. I think that is fair over Luka and LeBron. Food list of the year, Sixers Adam wins.
Alyssa has been toying with a food list.
I would love to have a food list from her.
She's overwhelmed by it, I think. She'll start to list a couple things, and I was like, yeah, just write it down. It'd be great. You should do it. And then she gets scared of the breadth of food. It's. I'll give you a hint. It's all snacks. It is
I would
entirely
love a
snacks.
snacks list. I would love a snacks. You just have to. What I found when I wrote mine, you just have to do it. You know what I mean? You can't think about it too much. Just start writing it out.
Yeah.
Second place was Tommy and Tony T. With
Sure.
a great food list.
Great list.
Outrageous Furkan Korkmaz moment, the Portland game winner or the back-to-back 30-point games, the back-to-back 30-point games wins.
Was that this year that you interviewed Korkmaz?
I think it was 2019 that I interviewed
Okay.
Korkmaz.
I think it was when, I think it was right around the time that I was in Philly. But I either had
because you
just
had
gotten in that day or something like that.
Yeah, you had like stomach problems or something that day.
Huh.
Yeah. I'm actually looking it up when he came on.
Yeah, if it was then, it would have been December, about a year ago, December.
It was December.
Late December.
December 2019. So does not count. Prospect Spike was accidentally right about of the year, much to your chagrin. Gary Trent Jr. does not win. Michael Porter Jr. wins.
That's wrong. That's undeniably wrong for a bunch of reasons. One reason is that Michael Porter Jr. coming into that year was a top prospect and thought
I had
to
him
be
as number one on my big board.
Right. I'm saying he was thought to be a top prospect. I'm saying coming into college, and he only played a couple games, sort of similar to James Wiseman, and that he had played a couple games and then hurt his back. I think it was that he's had a bunch of back issues. And I also don't think right now that he is good. That's me saying it.
Right.
But he's not like a pull it out of your ass guy. Gary Trent Jr. is very good and didn't look great at Duke. He's exactly my kind of player. I must not have watched him that much at Duke, or I must have watched him like early in the season and like developed an opinion about him that I kind of just assumed was correct, like an early one, and never really went back to check, because he's exactly the kind of player that I like. He went off last night for Portland against the Lakers. He's the best. I love him. And that one was a pull it out of your ass guy. So I'm overruling it and giving it to be Gary Trent Jr.
That is very much. Michael Porter Jr. is going to be like Brandon Ingram. It's going to take like 5 years for you to recognize that he's good.
I don't think so.
So am I not going to get credit? It's the same thing. I had Darius Garland as number one on my big board last year. Will I not get credit for that because he was the same sort of like highly touted? But
no, I mean, also, another guy that only played like four or five games at Vanderbilt. No, I think having Darius Garland number one was pretty crazy.
Okay,
and will still be crazy. Michael Porter Jr. People kind of expected it, and he just did not look very good.
The rant of the year, Ricky rant of the year. We had several different mentions of the name, but it really turned into the collection of Scott O'Neal rants. You decided that, like, Scott had long been a focus of mine, but you decided you were going all in on Scott after last season, and
it was a long off season. It was a long off season.
Yeah. And honorable mentions: Mike's Tobias slander, which he has since apologized for, which I think should pull it out of the rant category.
Take it out.
And the several rants on the Sixers owners attempting to use public funds to build an arena at Penn State.
Which also ties into the Helen Gim pod.
Right. I wonder if she's going to come. She will definitely ask to come back on the pod when she runs for mayor eventually, which I think is going to be soon, actually. Good take of the year. I can't believe we haven't given him more credit for this. And, of course, it's a weird pod to do it because he had such a good game. But AU has always been staunchly anti-Tobias.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it was because they traded Shamet, who he really liked. But he's always been anti-Tobias. So he gets good take of the year, I think.
Yeah, I think nobody felt great about it at any point. But I think AU was the most, like, I'm willing to say how I feel and not try to, like, put a hopeful spin on it.
And he puts a hopeful spin on everything.
He hated that trade. And it's right. It was never a good trade. I don't think anyone was excited about that trade in the moment. And then the decision of, well, we have to give him a max contract. It just, everything was bad. But we love Tobias. He's a great player. He's a great guy. Huge for the community. I think if he released a list of books to read, I would read them. I just, can't say enough. Can't say enough good things on this podcast exclusively.
Bad take of the year, without question, got the most votes for any Ben Simmons take from Spike. I did get an email from a Don who had finally flipped on Simmons and said at the end of it, I think Spike muted me a long time ago because of this. I'm sorry.
I feel like you're in your head about Simmons. You talk about him being in his head about whatever it's shooting or whatever it is, but I feel like you are now, people have psyched you into you feeling guilty for feeling a certain way and wanting to voice that.
Well, you know what's interesting, and I don't want to take too long on this, but there's always been a player on the Sixers of high profile that I have been out on in like a more extreme way than everybody else has. And the three that I remember is I turned on Turner, I turned on MCW, and Okafor by and large. This is not new for me for there to be like a high profile Sixer that I don't think is good, know?
I did have speaking of Evan, I did have a Tobias is tall Evan Turner note in my thing here, but I didn't say it, and I deleted it when we made it into a positive pod.
And honorable mention, Mike saying the Sixers had a 50% chance to win a title with both Joel and Ben.
Still believe it. Give me over the course of that many years? Absolutely. I in an alternate universe where better rims and different air quality in Toronto, I would have been right.
We'd like to take a second to thank our sponsor, a sponsor that just came on in 2020, I believe, while sports were stopped. By Nature, slow cooked superfood, pet food. We love By Nature. The Good Boy and Good Girl Club, the By Nature Good Boy and Good Girl Club, growing by the day. Evelyn and Levon, which are two just awesome looking dogs, like a black and white coat with big ears and a tan black faces. They are eating By Nature now. By Nature is just better for your pet, and that's why we love talking about it. That's why I was so glad when they came on as a sponsor. It's better because they use better ingredients. That's what Super Fusion is, better ingredients. Apple cider vinegar, blueberries, ginger, all that kind of stuff. Premium proteins, probiotics, all that stuff. And it's good for your pet because they cook it slow, so it is more healthy for your pet. It's more nutrient rich. And here's the great thing. The poop for the dog no longer soft, which brings us to the important moment of the day. When you go to pick up the poop, it's going to be firm if you're using By Nature. If you have a dog, if you pick it up with a cat, you're doing it wrong. Anyway, it is time for the Soft Shit Award, By Nature Soft Shit Award, awarded by Mike to somebody who deserves the Soft Shit Award. Mike, who does the Soft Shit Award go to this time?
Soft Shit Award this week goes to myself. I'm delivering it to myself for
any reason?
My anti-Tobias rant earlier.
Oh, God.
Well deserved. I don't know if this is self-dealing, but I'd like to congratulate myself on being soft shit and deserving soft shit.
Soft Shit Award goes to Mike. The first time it went to somebody on the pod, probably not the last time. If you want to try it for the first time, go to Chewy.com, use promo code RTRS20. You'll get 20% off your first By Nature order. Everyone uses Chewy, right? That's where you get all your pet stuff anyway. So go to Chewy.com, use promo code RTRS20 for your first By Nature order. 40 years the company's been in business, no recalls ever. We love By Nature, proud to have them as a sponsor. And when you do that, when you get the food, take a picture of your dog or cat with the food, send it to us. We'll put them in the Good Boy or Good Girl Club. Again, By Nature Pet Foods, RTRS20 at Chewy. Thank you, By Nature. Thank you for keeping our pets' stools nice and firm. Back to the Ricky. AU did an awesome list. It's at rightstoRickySanchez.com right now of the top 76 Sixers moments of the year. Now, they also have there are Ricky moments in there as well. I just wanted to go over his top 5 because I thought there are a couple of things in here that we didn't discuss in ours.
Guy loves a list.
What's that?
Guy loves a list.
He does. He's great at lists. Number 5, the Shake Milton game.
And that was what? That was 37 points against the Clippers?
And the thing about the Shake Milton game, and we all remember it, but it was so close to the end of it was so close to the COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
That, and it, like, you know, he lost some of his momentum in that season because of that. You know, they came back and they were playing differently and they were just fucking ass in the bubble. But Paul George, you know, there's that tweet, somebody please help Paul George while he was guarding Shake Milton. And who knows, it might be the reason that Doc Rivers is the coach of the Sixers right now. It wouldn't be, you know, Doc Rivers is famous for signing players who were good against him. Yeah. So him coming to a team that had a player that was good against him. Yeah.
It's individually, it's like, you know that scene in A Beautiful Mind? When it's like, I'm sure it's sexist if I would look back, I haven't seen the movie in a while, but I've never seen it. Well, there's the guys, like the nerd guys that see the like girls at the bar or whatever, and like it's shot like stylistically or whatever. And now in my mind, it's Daryl Morey looking at me and you, and Doc looking at Shake, and them deciding to come to Philadelphia. And that's it.
I love AU giving Sixers Adam credit. Number 4 of the top 76 Sixers moment of the year was Sixers Adam's food list.
Certainly caused as much of a stir as anything else on this list. Absolutely.
One of my favorite things, and you know, I don't think there will ever be a documentary about it, but the days and days of prodding it took me to get Sixers Adam to write the food list, and how proud I was 6 hours into it when I told him that more people had read his food list than anything else he had written for us.
What was the qualifier to that sentence? You didn't think there was going to be a documentary made about Sixers Adam's food list?
Correct. That's why I wanted to tell the story now. I don't. If I felt like there was going to be a doc, I would want to save it for the doc.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't want to blow it here.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't think you need. Yeah, I feel like that's not a concern. But
that's why I told the story now. I don't think there will be a documentary.
Right, but I'm glad that went through. I'm glad you did the math before saying it.
Number 3 is I know people are going to think I sound like I'm drinking. I haven't had a drink in a month. I thought that was Sixers Adams food list brings me great joy. Number 3, Ben Simmons slaps Joel Embiid's ass at the All-Star game.
That was great.
How many screen cap videos with imagine thinking that these two guys don't get along tweets were there about that moment?
Probably not enough. Should be more. I do think that on the court watching them, I feel like this is their 4th year playing together? 4th?
Yes, 4th.
It really does feel like this is a noticeable difference of just them having a better feel for each other on the court. It seems like they're communicating and like knowing what the other likes to do a little bit more. I'm not saying that they fit perfectly. That's never going to be the case, but I just feel like they have, maybe with Doc, maybe, you know, ringing the bell together, slapping each other's ass, etc., pumping your fist when the other one gets a dunk. Those are kind of nice things, and I think that they just seem to have a better like feel for each other this year than last.
Number 2, we talked about it on the last pod, Joel Embiid on the Ricky. Worth, if you have some time over the next week and you're, by the way, we got a Twitter DM from somebody who recently discovered our podcast, had, what's the surgery, had an appendicitis and had to recover in the hospital, started listening from the beginning.
The doctor recommended what is the most time consuming thing you can do? Right. Well, there's this podcast that does 87 podcasts a week.
Well,
so
and
maybe watch
he
that.
wrote that he was like, I'm up to 2015. You guys are talking yourselves into Nerlens Noel and Julia Okafor on the same team.
As we said before, and it seems incredibly overwhelming to imagine someone starting this podcast right now, because it's been too long, and there's too much of a level of understood insanity that we're not really conveying for newcomers. But as we said before, don't go back. The podcasts are not available anywhere to be listened to. Any take that we've had in the past does erase itself after 5 minutes.
I do
Please
think
stop.
it's kind of neat in like that it is an audio journal of two fans watching the Sixers. Like it probably doesn't exist in the way that ours does, anywhere. I won't go back and listen to it, but I think if you're not a Sixers fan, maybe it's interesting. If you're just a basketball fan and not a Sixers fan, I don't know. This guy said that it was neat to hear people talk themselves into the same bullshit that he did. So,
Yeah.
And the number one thing on AU's list of the top 76 Sixers moments that I don't, much like you always said, Burnergate, we never gave enough credit to how crazy it was. AU's number one moment is the Sixers hiring Daryl Morey. I don't know that we'll ever be able to put in proper context how wild it is that Daryl Morey is running basketball operations for the Sixers right now, considering where it all started.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. It's hard to fathom. Like we can talk ourselves into how crazy something like very specific is. Like we can the confetti game, I think is a good example of like, look at this weird thing that we'll reference for the rest of our lives. But like Burnergate was beyond it. Like there's just nothing that we could ever do that will fully crystallize how wild of a time and just unheard of everything about it was. But we will try for the rest of our lives to do so. And Sixers hiring Daryl after everything that would happen with Hinkie and then going in the complete opposite direction for a number of years. I think it would have been a little bit more surprising if it came out of the blue. Mm-hmm. It does seem to be, it was like hinted at for a while, and it was like, maybe, will they, should they, could they go after him, like kind of thing. So then it happened. It was like, holy shit, they got him, rather than like this, how did we get here kind of thing. It seemed a little bit more tipped, but yeah, it's wild that he's here. It's wild that he, engages with us on Twitter as his main account, not any sort of secret account. Very cool. It's good. I feel I have to keep reminding myself as I watch this team and get frustrated by this team that like he's here and
Morey's in charge.
He'll do a better job.
So I wanted to end on an email. It was a nice email, but it ends with a question that has truly, really gotten into my head the last couple of days, and I would really like to engage you on it. It comes from Taylor. She says, "Hi, Spike and Mike. I feel like I need to reach out as I reflect on this past year. I can't help but be filled with sadness in realizing it was this time last year that my husband and I were embarking on a trip to Indianapolis for Fly the Process. I'm sure you don't remember me, but I'll always remember the start of that trip because my husband and I were randomly selected to fly first class. I ended up sitting next to you, Spike. When you realized my husband and I were sitting apart, you willingly offered your seat to allow us to sit together. Anyway, we went on to enjoy.
And that's why you're reading their email question.
No. It's just a nice,
slight. I'm a nice guy, humble brag, and the email.
I am
continues.
a nice guy. All right. Anyway, we went on to enjoy a wonderful trip despite losing our kryptonite known as the Pacers. Remember that teenager that sat behind us booing the entire time? He was the worst. Despite losing to a team we should have easily beat, I got to stand on the court, be within feet of my hero, Joel Embiid. I got to tell TJ he's got 2 years to make the right decision and head his way back to Philly. It was the best start to the year, and overall a trip I will never forget. Thank you to their podcast and fans of Philly." So that brings me to my question and the hope that you guys will settle a debate that has been tearing apart my friend group for the last decade. It all started when we were in college, and a guy we knew spewed out a question while we were sitting there high in a college dorm room. What would win in a fight, a tank or a billion babies? Now, most people hear this and probably chalk it up as normal, erratic weed talk, but it was this question that would go on to permeate my friend group and tear us apart in a clear divide for the next 10 years. We've seen couples divide, friends argue for hours, and complete strangers be drawn into the conversation as a desperate need to prove which side is right. We felt we need to clarify the parameters regarding this topic, such as, do the babies ever age? Yes. What is I asked some follow-up questions. They start at 3 months old. What is the ultimate goal of the battle? The babies to overtake the tank or the tank to be the last one standing? Do the babies have unlimited amounts of provisions? Yes. Does the tank run on an unlimited supply of ammo? Also yes. My own husband and I have fallen on opposite sides of this debate for years. So I come to you today in a request for help and guidance in ending this decade-long debate once and for all. So I ask your opinion. In a fight, what would win, a tank or a billion babies? We also realize the morbidity of this discussion and hope that you'll not see us as completely awful and terrible human beings. Theoretically, we'd like to hear your thoughts on the matter. I absolutely love children and babies. Yeah. Okay. So for context, and I know you know this, but saying it out loud seems to help when you realize that the tank has to dispose of a billion babies.
Can the tank shoot?
Yes. Well, she says ammo. So I said, yeah, but just for perspective, a billion babies would be 3 times the number of people that exist in the United States right now.
Where are they? Like, what is are they in a room? Are they like squunched up in like a gym? Or
let's just say
are they outdoors?
Let's just say it's outdoors in a field.
A field of battle. A field of baby versus...
Correct. Yes.
Versus tank battle.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a billion is so many babies.
Right.
It really just gets to the point where you start to have to try to figure out how long would it take the tank to dispose of babies, because would the babies age enough to be able to take over the tank while the tank was disposing of the babies? Well,
so what... I mean, at what age do the babies know what the job is?
Well, let me ask you this, and this is something I don't know if they've considered. You know, if you put a baby out in the wild, let's say, the baby would probably, like, if you took a normal baby that lived in a house and said, well, when is this baby ever going to learn to, like, catch a fish? Baby might never be able to learn to catch a fish with its hands. But you put a baby out in the wild and it needs to catch a fish, maybe the baby catches the fish. So maybe the babies at some point, maybe at 2 years old, I don't know, a year and a half old, start to realize that this tank is the threat and start climbing over the tank and overtake the tank.
I don't think a baby catches a fish unless someone's teaching it how to catch a fish.
You don't think there's instinct? The baby's like...
No.
Okay.
No, that baby dies. The baby would die. If you leave a baby out near a lake and just put a sign there that says there's fish here, the baby's going to die. There's no chance of the baby being just like summoning the will to sort of know the knowledge.
Well, then but humans survived initially, right? Like,
we are straying from the ultimate goal. In my mind, it would take the babies years. Is there a human even like overseeing the process that's sort of like waiting, I don't know, 2 years at least to tell the babies like, hey, get it? Because they're not engaged.
Well,
you have to imagine that the tank with unlimited ammo that could, roll over the babies and also shoot at them is far more focused on the task than these disparate billion babies that are playing with each other. There's no way that the babies are like deciding to attack a tank instead of playing with the other babies that are around, or just sort of wailing by themselves.
I think the question you really have to know the answer to is how long does it take the tank to kill 500 million babies? How long?
I don't think that long, in the idea of there is unlimited ammo plus like rolling over, which is obviously disgusting to think about, but we're in the fantasy world here. In my mind, like, if it's in a room and the idea is, because a billion is obviously a lot. If it's in a room and the babies are just like, the weight of the babies are just like coming down on this tank, and eventually it just like smushes or something.
But room couldn't hold a billion babies.
Well, exactly. But it'd have to be a huge room. There wouldn't be a billion babies in rooms indoors or outdoors. So, like, if the size of babies over tank, I think, is a factor. But if we're saying they're just in the wild and they're just crawling wherever the fuck they want, it is, in my mind, like as much as I want to give it to the baby, I just don't think that there's no defense. It would not take 6 years for one tank with unlimited ammo to kill that many babies. It would take, I would say, if there's no need to sleep, if we're just saying straight up time, I think a tank could kill 1 billion babies in like 6 months.
No, I don't think so. Tanks don't move fast.
Yeah, but I mean, if the babies are all in one place, you don't need them to move fast. You just need them to like shoot at a location.
Even if they're
one shot at a location probably kills, or at least fatally wounds, a ton. Like many.
But even if they're spread out, and I don't know the answer to this, but even if they're spread out, not on top of each other, how much space does 1 billion babies take up?
Quite a lot, for sure.
You know?
It feels like mowing. It's like mowing a lawn. Like the babies are not providing resistance, and so how long would like a big tank take to, like, however many 1 billion babies is an acre? Divide that space wise.
I don't think I can Google that.
No, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I want to give it to the babies because of 1 billion is a lot, but it's hard to imagine it. The defenses of the babies are nothing. And I just feel like ultimately, even if it takes a while, even if it takes, I think I said 6 months, even if it takes 3 years, they're still going to win.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I didn't ask her this, and Elliot at work asked me, is it possible that, you know, like the babies underneath could junk up the tank and make it so the tank couldn't like move? Mm-hmm. Like could the tank get stuck in baby? But
sure.
I don't think so. They're made to do that, you know? Seems unlikely. So you're going with the tank.
I just think you have to. I just can't see of a scenario in which the babies win.
I think my real question is, I think this takes longer than anyone is giving it credit for. And last question. Do you think 100,000 5-year-olds could beat a tank?
100,000? That's
Yes.
a lot less than 1 billion. That's a lot less than 1 billion.
But I'm just saying 100,000 5-year-olds, could they beat a tank?
What's the biggest stadium? How much does the biggest stadium hold?
Like if you get a big college stadium is like 100,000.
Okay. So like Coliseum at SC.
Yeah. I think that's 93 or something.
Versus a tank. I think the tank still.
Okay.
Especially if they're seated in the stadium, they're all running. I think like it's pretty easy to like shoot like one section at a time. You're really getting it pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I think I struggle to find like if realistically how many 5-year-olds could even be injuring the tank at one time. To me, it's like 100. Maybe? Because most of them are going to be standing from the outside unless they're like throwing.
Unless they just swarm it, all just get on top.
But how many? But what would they do?
If there were 20,000 babies on top of a tank, I don't think
that the tank could hold 20,000 babies. There's not enough surface area for them all.
Right. So when they could just the tank wouldn't even be able to move.
Well, the babies would never be able to coordinate amongst themselves to do that.
5-year-olds could.
5-year-olds maybe could.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So a question like, could it take? What I'm really sorry to Taylor. I don't know the answer yet. Mike is pretty sure it's the tank.
I'm pretty sure it's tank, and I'm pretty sure tank beats 100,000 5-year-olds too. Because the tanks are built to withstand like stuff.
I keep thinking
and the things that the babies
this.
and the 5-year-olds are giving them, it's just not. I don't think it would wound them.
There's simply
the
no
argument
way
to be made of like. Maybe you grind up and get in the gears and stuff, and you stop moving, and you have to sort of just like turn the gun manually. But it's tough.
Before we go, I screwed this up at the top. I want to, as this is our last pod of 2020, of course, thank our sponsors: DraftKings, LL Pavorsky, Big Barker, Kornblau and Kornblau, Adam Kasabi, Stateside Vodka, By Nature Pet Foods, Kinetic Skateboarding, Colony Meadery. But would also like to thank every listener who has stuck with us through this year. This has been an unprecedentedly shitty year. And the number of notes we've gotten that have said that like the pod was important to them during the shutdown and during this whole time is very touching. And I just think if you're listening to this, you should know that you listening to it is as important to us as the pod is to you. So I'm proud of the fact that people continue to listen, and somehow we've been able to grow a little bit. I'm proud that and happy that people put up with the shit that I say that they hate. And I love it. I think it's it's a thing that I'm proud of, and I can't believe we got through 2020 without really missing a week. So it's fucking weird. So thanks. That's all I got. I just got to thanks. Thanks for 2020. Here's to a much better 2021. Yeah. It has to be.
Everybody stay safe and ride this out safely as long as we can, because, the Sixers need us to be there booing them in person. As soon as possible. So hang in there, hunker down, and let's all make it through this thing.
Yep. All right. We'll talk to you in 2021, unless there's the Harden trade or something. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, Lick face.
If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you.
If you don't fuck with me,
then I won't fuck with you.
But if you fuck with me,
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
That's the plan.